Kahani 9, The Arcade Rumble. My days off are legendary for all the wrong reasons. ICS Accounts Reconciliation Automated Query System. Your pal in payroll. Bleeding Araxis unleashed the hell I dreaded since that whole ordeal with the Travellers. Hazorth 7 violation. Sigma 6, 50 sovereigns deducted. File X44 by 0900 or audit. 50 quid! This Chutia system's bleeding me dry for stopping those interdimensional travellers. Their humming, discordant music still flashing fairy-like patterns in my mind. Fines snapped me from cosmic haze, my old payroll nightmares reborn. I was done. Bass! I grabbed my jacket, ignoring Gizmo's glare as he batted a dust bunny, purring like I'd betrayed his robot cat's soul. Resident Holloway, Barry crackled. Air quality assessment in 17 minutes. Regulations. Barry, your backwash assessments can bugger off, I snapped, door hissing. As if dealing with your petty rules wasn't enough, ICS would probably fine my chai for breathing if they could, hiding the charge in those infamous redacted files from the Kalis mess. Lights flickered. Free, till gravity spheres my tea. The corridors of Orbital Block K were their usual charming selves. Utilitarian, slightly grimy, with that persistent smell of recycled proteins and despair. I made my way to the transit hub, squeezing into a tube car that was already packed with the usual mix of station residents heading to the entertainment sectors. A couple stops later, I was surprised to spot Chen boarding, my colleague from Anomalous Materials, who normally worked opposite shifts. He caught my eye and gave me a nod that clearly said, "I've seen things, you've seen things, let's never speak of them." I returned the silent greeting. Last time we'd talked had been after that sample container of his leaked and corrupted half his building's lighting systems. Some bonds just form naturally when you've both been traumatized by the inexplicable. Nearby, Mr. Henderson from 9F was grumbling to his datapad. Screen still stuck on that bloody gas giant swirl, not my cricket scores. This whole block's cursed since that whole power surge debacle. I winced internally. The Kalis fallout. The one I'd privately nicknamed my hitchhiker fiasco, still giving people grief. I headed straight for Orbitron's Hollow Arcade in Sector Gamma 9. It's a proper dive. Winking neon signs promising Ultra Reality Gaming Extreme. 3 of those words are lies. Synth pop blaring from speakers, probably manufactured before I was born, and the lingering scent of cheap disinfectant and desperation. The perfect place to forget that just last week I'd nearly had my consciousness absorbed by interdimensional beings who communicated through crystalline resonance patterns. Just normal trauma things, yeah? I slipped into the first available holopod, ignoring the sticky residue on the control panel. Please be soda, please be soda, please be soda. And scrolled through the game options. StarCommand caught my eye. A retro holo game where you build fleets and conquer planets. It's got this ancient interface, more glitches than features, and a fan base that probably still thinks dial-up is cutting-edge tech. My sister Priya, with her flair for the dramatic and a voice that could charm a black hole, would probably find the whole thing terribly déclassé. I just wanted to blast some pixelated Krillians. Begin game sequence, I muttered, settling back as the pod hummed to life. The interior lit up with a projection of space. Stars, planets, all that cosmic jazz. And for a blissful moment, I wasn't Maya Holloway, professional disaster magnet. I was just another space nerd playing at being a fleet commander. I was blasting pixelated Krillians. Take that! When the pod jolted, display fritzing. A layered, shifting, discordant hum hit my head, giving me a sharp, momentary headache as the game pod itself started skipping and erroring out. "I'd fix this chutia glitch," I muttered as the door hissed open. "What the?" I squinted against the sudden influx of arcade lighting, expecting to see a maintenance drone or a board attendant. Instead, there stood Mrs. Higgins. Mrs. Bloody Higgins from 7D. Floral jumpsuit that looked like a garden centre had exploded, permed hair defying both gravity and fashion sense, and a smug grin that said she'd just conquered the entire known universe. "Fancy seeing you here, dear," she chirped, adjusting her glasses with one bejeweled finger. "Didn't peg you for a gamer?" I blinked. Twice. Then a third time for good measure. "Mrs. Higgins, you play holo games?" She cackled, an actual honest-to-stars cackle, and patted my arm like I was a particularly slow child. "Oh, back in my day, I was Admiral Astra, top of the Lunar Fleet leaderboards 3 years running." She puffed up like a space pigeon. "Still got it too. Just trounced some poor soul calling himself Quantum Doom Lord. Pathetic strategy, no finesse." My radio's been humming like a gas giant's tune ever since that building-wide light show a few weeks back, you know. Keeps trying to play that weird music. She eyed me knowingly. I opened my mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Mrs. Higgins. The same woman who complained when my sonic shower ran past 700 hours. Who once reported Gizmo for making threatening gestures through the window. Who wore fuzzy slippers and drank chamomile tea and knitted cosmic horror-themed tea cozies. Was a gaming legend. And apparently also experiencing Kalis after effects. "You're having me on," I finally managed. She rolled her eyes with such dramatic flair, I thought they might actually exit her skull. "Oh, please, Maya dear. What, do you think old people just sit around waiting to die? I'll have you know, I was winning tournaments while your mother was still learning her multiplication tables." Right, that was a mental image I didn't need. My flat-complaining, Barry-sympathising neighbour as a trash-talking gaming prodigy. "Care for a match?" she asked suddenly, eyes gleaming with the predatory light of a career gamer spotting fresh meat. "Loser treats the winner to whatever they fancy." I should have said no. Should have walked away. Should have remembered the immortal words of Admiral Akbar. "It's a trap." But something about her smug little grin hooked me. Maybe it was a traveller's influence, still rattling around in my brain. Maybe it was just the desperate need to prove I wasn't completely useless at something. Or maybe it was the fact that she'd called me Maya instead of Resident Holloway, or that disruptive element in 7B. "You're on," I said, with what I thought was impressive bravado. "But I'm warning you, I've been playing since I was 6. Her smile widened. "Marvellous, dear. I've been playing since before they had graphics." Oh, I was so going to regret this. The hollow arena flickered to life around us. Vast star fields, swirling nebulae, asteroid belts perfect for ambushes, and our respective fleets gleaming in the virtual starlight. My ships were sleek, modern designs, all aggressive angles and glowing weapon ports. Mrs. Higgins had chosen a classic fleet, bulkier, less manoeuvrable, but with that vintage charm that usually means doesn't work properly. I went for a scrappy hit-and-run strategy. zoom in, blast away at her support ships, zoom out before her capital ships could respond. Standard guerrilla tactics. It seemed to be working too. For about, 45 seconds? Then Mrs. Higgins, Admiral Astra, launched her counterattack. Her ships moved like they had minds of their own, micromanaged to perfection. Where I was frantically waving my hands through the holographic controls, trying to direct fire and coordinate movements, she sat serene, her fingers dancing through the projection field with practiced ease. Half my fleet was space dust before I even realized what was happening. "Quadrant 3 is exposed, dear," she remarked casually as her battlecruiser unleashed hell on my flanking squadron. "And you're focusing too much on offense. Haven't upgraded your shields once." "I know what I'm doing," I snapped, desperately trying to regroup my remaining forces. She smiled, not smug, just genuinely amused. "Course you do, dear. That's why your flagship's about to be atomized." Sure enough, her flagship, a behemoth of virtual firepower named, I kid you not, the Higgins Havoc, was bearing down on my command ship. I tried evasive maneuvers, but it was like watching a space whale chase a minnow. Not exactly a fair fight. Before I knew it, my flagship was nothing but expanding pixels, and the game announced in its overly dramatic voice, "Admiral Astra victorious, Nova Banshee defeated, planetary systems surrendered." The pod lights came back up, revealing Mrs. Higgins looking like the cat that got the cream, the canary, and possibly the entire dairy section. "Better luck next time, dear," she said, patting my hand, consoling me. "Now, about that treat. I've always fancied a proper pamper at Nebula 0G Spa. Shall we?" I groaned, but a deal's a deal. Besides, after Sigma 6, floating in 0G sounded nice, non-threatening, relaxing even, a word that had practically vanished from my vocabulary since joining ICS. "Fine," I conceded. "But if Barry finds out I'm skipping his mandatory air quality assessment, I'm blaming you entirely." She winked, and linked her arm through mine like we were old friends. "Don't you worry about Barry, dear. I've had that pompous algorithm wrapped around my finger for years. Who do you think programmed his T preference module?" I stared at her. You're a coder, as well as a gaming champion." "Maya, dear," she said, "I'm 73. I've been a lot of things. Now come along. I hear they've got this new floating massage that's to die for." Nebula's Spa was everything you'd expect from the budget luxury establishment trying desperately to seem high-end. Glitchy hollow panels displayed soothing images of Earth landscapes that occasionally pixelated into nightmare fuel. A soothing AI named Serenity welcomed us with a voice like warm honey, somehow managing to sound both calming and overly enthusiastic about our journey to rejuvenation. The massage pods hummed like dying shuttle engines. But the crowning glory was the 0G chamber, a spacious room where the artificial gravity was selectively disabled, allowing patrons to float blissfully while being pampered by robotic attendants. The spa attendant recommended their signature nanite relaxation treatment, but Mrs. Higgins immediately shook her head. "Absolutely not," she said firmly. "I don't trust those microscopic little buggers. Never have, never will." "There's a reason I keep a personal EMP generator in my handbag." I raised an eyebrow. An EMP in her handbag? That was a new level of Mrs. Higgins. The attendant, a Serenia with smooth, translucent skin that shimmered with faint, shifting bioluminescent patterns, looked disappointed. Her large, dark eyes blinked slowly. Perhaps the zero-G flotation therapy instead, then. Very popular with our senior patrons. Her voice was soft and melodic, with a slight, watery resonance. "Who are you calling senior?" Mrs. Higgins bristled. "I'll have you know I can still run circles around half the station in quantum racers." I couldn't help but laugh. "I'll try the nanite treatment," I volunteered. "I deal with weird tech all day. This can't be worse than the glitter incident on Xanadu Prime." The spa technician approached with the nanite injector, her delicate webbed fingers handling the device with fluid grace. "This will stimulate cellular rejuvenation and enhance neurological pathways for maximum relaxation potential," she intoned, her voice a soothing balm. "Some clients report mild tingling sensations or temporary pigmentation fluctuations. Though I should mention this is from our experimental batch," she added, almost as an afterthought. "Experimental?" I echoed, suddenly less confident. "Just a few tweaks to the standard formula, nothing dangerous," she assured me, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing gently, which was not at all reassuring. Yeah, I've had weirder things in my system," I muttered, thinking of the glitter incident on Xanadu Prime. Just get on with it. Big mistake. The nanites kicked in almost immediately, spreading through my system with what felt like malicious glee. First came the tingling, like static electricity dancing across my skin. Then the warmth, starting at the injection site and radiating outward. And then the colour change. I said, staring at my hands, which were rapidly turning a shimmering neon blue. "Is this normal?" The Serenia tilted her head, her large eyes widening slightly. That's a rather vibrant expression. Usually more of a subtle azure." It didn't stop there. My entire body turned the same electric blue, like I'd been dipped in glowing paint. Worse, when I opened my mouth to complain, my voice dropped 3 octaves into a gravelly baritone that would make a space pirate blush. "Bloody hell!" I croaked, sounding like I'd been gargling gravel for sport. "Fix this." Honestly, ICS would probably fine my very glow for unauthorized bioluminescence. Mrs. Higgins, to her credit, didn't laugh. Much. "Okay," she cackled, loudly and at length, until tears streamed down her face. "You look like a comet, dear," she wheezed between bouts of laughter. "Oh, my stars, if Barry could see you now. We better sort this before he fines you for unauthorized luminescence." The Serenia stared at my electric blue skin in horror, her own bioluminescence flickering erratically, then at her diagnostic pad, then back at me. This isn't," she stammered, her melodic voice cracking. "This reaction is significantly outside anticipated parameters. I must consult my supervisor." She glided away with surprising speed for someone who usually moved so gracefully. "Please remain calm. I shall return forthwith." As she hurried off, Mrs. Higgins rolled her eyes. Typical. First sign of trouble and they flow away. She stepped up to the control panel, examining the readouts with surprising confidence. "Let me see what the problem is." "You know how to work that thing?" I asked, my voice still unnervingly deep. She gave me a look that was half exasperation, half amusement. "I know enough to be dangerous, dear. I spent years studying these systems, so I could avoid them properly. Know thy enemy and all that." She turned a dial carefully. "Can't trust something you can't see. That's why I stopped working at Nebulon after seeing what those corporate types wanted to do with the technology. You know about nanite calibration too? I asked, voice still unnervingly deep. She shot me a look. I told you, I've been many things. 3 years in R&D at Nebulon Medical Systems. Helped design the first-gen nanites, actually. Her fingers danced across the controls with practiced precision. Calibrated these buggers for years before I realized what they were really being developed for. She adjusted another setting. Though I see they've made some questionable upgrades since my day. Turns out Mrs. Higgins' arcade skills translated surprisingly well to Spartech. Within an hour, my skin was back to its normal shade, and my voice, well, mostly normal. There was still a slight gravel to it, like I'd recently recovered from a cold. We floated in the zero-G chamber afterward, sipping synth cocktails that tasted vaguely like fruit and mostly like chemicals, watching a hollow projection of the Kalis system swirl overhead. How'd love the stars, Mrs. Higgins murmured, half to herself. Used to take me to the Lunar Fair every anniversary. That when arcades were proper arcades, not these newfangled neural sim contraptions. I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't say anything. Just floated, letting the quiet settle between us. It was nice. Peaceful. No crisis to manage, no paperwork to file, no Barry to appease. Just the artificial stars, the gentle hum of the station's life support, and the surprising companionship of a septuagenarian gaming champion with a mysterious past. Post-spa, I decided it was my turn to surprise Mrs. Higgins. Come on, I said, leading her through the transit hub to Sector Delta 3. My treat. Where are we going? She asked, looking slightly bewildered as we stepped off the tube car. I grinned. Cosmic curry and sweets. Best Indian desserts in the orbital zone. Mrs. Higgins looked uncertain as we entered the neon-lit joint that somehow managed to be both a proper curry house and a dessert parlour. The contradictory smells of spice and sugar hit us as we stepped inside. Her eyes widened at the unfamiliar menu board, filled with names she clearly couldn't pronounce. Trust me, I said, gesturing to a booth. My mum's favourites are the best items here. I ordered confidently. 2 gulab jamun sundaes and a plate of jalebis, please. Mrs. Higgins eyed the bright orange spiral jalebi with suspicion when they arrived. What exactly am I eating, dear? Fried dough soaked in sugar syrup, I explained. Just try it, it's brilliant. She took a tentative bite, and her eyebrow shot up in surprise. Oh, it's quite good, actually. I grinned. Told you. This is my comfort food when the job gets too weird. I watched her cautiously navigating the unfamiliar desserts, taking dainty bites of the syrup-soaked gulab jamun. For once, I was the expert, and she was the novice. We munched in silence until my comm buzzed. Hi, Mum, I managed, my voice still a bit rough. Beta, eating properly? Her voice warm yet accusatory. I hid the jalebi. You sound congested. Resting? Station air's dry. Haldi doodh or my curry'd fix you. Just a cold, I lied, wincing internally. The lie, mixed with the sudden cold of the gulab jamun sundae I'd just taken a bite of, sent a sharp jolt, a real bzzzt, right through my temples. Hoping Mum couldn't hear the static in my brain. Definitely brain freeze, I told myself. Nothing to do with the humming. You sound different. Have you been sleeping? Send me a holopic. I want to see if you've lost weight. And don't tell me you're still eating that processed station food. I sent you those AMLA packets last month. Have you been taking them daily? It's just a cold, Mum. I lied smoothly. Nothing serious. And no, I'm not sending you a holopic from work. Mrs. Higgins watched this exchange with undisguised amusement, munching on her dessert with the air of someone enjoying dinner theatre. You should visit next Diwali, Mum continued. Your Aunt Priya keeps asking about you. Her colleague's son is a very nice boy, works in terraforming, very stable career, good family values. He doesn't even eat meat on Tuesdays. I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly strained something. Gotta go, Mum. Love you. Bye. I cut the connection before she could launch into her full matchmaking routine. Mrs. Higgins winked at me. Tell her you're with a friend next time. I smirked. Not sure we're there yet, Mrs. H. Give it time, dear. Give it time. She slid the plate of jalebis toward me. Now eat up. Your mother's right about one thing. You have lost weight. Can't have you fainting during our rematch. Rematch? Who said anything about a rematch? Her eyes gleamed with competitive fire. Oh, I always give rookies a chance to redeem themselves. Next week, same time? I'll even let you pick the game. I should have said no. I really should have said no. But something about her, the mischievous glint in her eye, made me nod. Fine, but I'm picking Stella Racer 3000, and I am going to destroy you. She cackled, raising her cup in a toast. Dream on, dear. Dream on. Back in my flat, Gizmo greeted me with his usual enthusiasm. A disdainful meow as he curled back up on his charging pad. Missed you too, you little menace, I said fondly, dropping my jacket on the sofa. Resident Holloway, Barry's voice crackled through the intercom. Your air quality assessment is overdue by precisely 7 hours, 23 minutes and 18 seconds. This constitutes a violation of Habitat Regulation 74B. Please explain. I grinned up at the ceiling sensor. Had a lovely day. Thanks for asking, Barry. How was yours? This unit does not have days, Resident Holloway. This unit has operational cycles. Please address the assessment violation. Tell you what, Barry, I said, feeling unusually charitable. I'll do 2 air quality assessments next week. Double the fun. That is not protocol, Resident Holloway. Live a little, Barry. Break the rules. Be spontaneous. A long pause. This unit will log your commitment to double assessment compliance next week. The intercom clicked off and I flopped onto my sofa, still wearing the hints of a smile. No anomalies? Just a gaming granny, blowstick vibes.